So here I am assembling the short block of this Mazda B2200. It's got the same F2 engine as my probe. I'm doing this as a job on trade on a couple of 626 turbos. GC chassis with the 2-liter 8 valve, not the 2.2 12 valve like my 91. So I've already done 2 of the 3 steps. What I do when I'm assembling these main caps is start from the center out in a spiraling pattern like you normally would and doing 20 foot-pound increments up until the last one is a 25-pound jump because they're 65 foot-pounds. So I do 20, then 40, then 65. It's important to do steps. So now I'm going to 65 because I've already done 2 of the steps. And there we are. So now, starting in the center, it's doop, 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 in a spiral. I know it's hard for you to see, but I'll show you in a little bit the exact pattern I did. So you start with the one that you want to start with. Okay. It's hard to keep this fucker from moving. And I'm going to change this. Come over here from the side. Okay. Come out here. It's a little bit harder with this short torque wrench. Okay. Now, what I always do after each torque sequence, which is this, I'll show you here in a second. Alright, so I went bam, 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 and then this guy and this guy. Now what you always do after you get done torquing these main caps is to go over them all one more time just to make sure you didn't mess up on your sequence and leave a couple of them loose. You always recheck after each sequence. You go back over them and just click the ratchet to make sure that you actually got it. So I'm going to try and set this up to where you can see. I'm just going back over each one to make sure it's at the correct spec. And even though the bolts are wet on top, I did dry off the threads and make sure that the threads were dry in the block. A lot of places recommend that you have lubrication on your bolts, but what they don't realize is you have to increase your torque amount when you have a lubricant. So it's always better to do them dry in my experience. At least the last 300 engines I put together, I made sure that the main bolts were dry and torqued them and made sure that they were all at the same spec. Crankshaft turns freely after they're torqued, so that's good. So now we can move on to the next step, which is flipping the block over and doing the ring gaps. Alright, now that I have the block turned over, what I'm going to do is pull out the individual sets, starting with the oil control ring and ending with the top ring. I'm going to place them about halfway down this cylinder, and then I'm going to check the gap with feeler gauges to make sure that they're correct ring gap. If they're not, I'll use my ring file to get them to where they are the correct gap. So here we have the long block assembled. I'm about to do the last sequence to 65 foot-pounds on the head bolts. It is completely rebuilt, new piston rings, new rods, new bearings, new crankshaft, new oil pump, freshened cylinder head, new head gasket. So it's a totally new long block, and I am just about done with assembling the long block. I just need to finish the last torque sequence, and I figured I'd share that with you. Alright, so starting from the center out in the spiral circular pattern, we're going to go to 65 foot-pounds, the last of the steps. And then we go over one more time to check and make sure that all of them are good. So. Go. So the first time I went like this, so I did it backwards of the first time when I go back over, just to make sure that they're all seated properly. So now the head's on and it's ready to go. Here we have a fully assembled and timed long block. Heads on and torqued down with the new head gasket, new piston rings, new rods, new bearings, new main rod bearings, new main bearings, new crankshaft, new oil pump. Reused the old water pump because it was in good shape. Tensioner and idler pulleys were in good shape, so we're reusing those. Plus it didn't come with new ones. Rear main housing, rear main seal housing is on, and the rear main seal is in, along with the crank saver sleeve, which I absolutely despise and I never want to deal with again. And yeah, we're pretty much ready to start buttoning stuff up and then get the flywheel and clutch on. The pilot bearing is already in the end of the crankshaft, so here pretty soon this will be going in the truck. Alright, it's starting to get somewhere. Valve covers on and torqued and sealed. Used right stuff around the curves to prevent oil leaks. The timing, upper and lower timing covers on, along with the timing being correct on the timing belt. Got to tighten down the crankshaft pulley bolt still to 120 foot-pounds, but I'm going to have to get the flywheel on before I can do that. Still got to put the fan bracket on. Still got to put in the distributor, but I'll probably do that once it's in the car because we'll have to time it anyway. Or in the truck, excuse me. So, she's almost there.